like in a medium-sized law firm, you still get exposure, which exposure that you might not at a big law. I mean, I only did VAC work at a big law firm, so I can't really speak
Yeah.
to like doing articles at a big law firm. Get your LLB, get good grades, because also what you want to do is get into a good school, which you want, because again, you're competing with students from the US who did their JDs in there. I know students graduated from UNISA cannot sit for the New York bar without an LLM.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel again. Welcome back. If you're here again, it means that there's something good that we're doing. I appreciate that. So today we've got another guest. I've been trying to incorporate more than one guest on my sections so that you guys can basically hear the same thing from multiple people. But today, unfortunately, I couldn't get multiple people. In fact, the person I wanted to get, the additional person, is in the States right now. So unfortunately, we'll have to do with my very dear friend. But I think it's going to be a good section. If you are looking at the title, you'll see that actually we're talking about studying abroad and basically utilizing your LLB to expand your opportunities. I'm not going to waste a lot of time. You know who I am, Atlahan Gobuza. Welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, I hope you like it. Let me hand over to my friend and legal colleague, learned colleague, to introduce herself. Linda, welcome to the channel.
Thank you. I'm not nervous at all. I'm very comfortable. I feel like, I'm easy. Yeah.
Are you? You sure?
No, of course not. I'm not freaking out.
She obviously had to be forced to come here because she's in South Africa. But yeah, no, let's not waste time.
Okay, let's do it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Linda Masina. I'm an attorney. From Carltonville, grew up in Carltonville. My parents are pastors. Had an interesting childhood, I think as most South Africans could probably relate, very difficult upbringing and, poor family and all of that. And yeah, so that's really, I think, been really instrumental in sort of shaping me and the person who I am and my values and whatnot. And I feel like I'm saying a lot of nothing, but yeah, I am. Yeah, so I'm just Linda, and I enjoy doing adventurous things that pump my adrenaline, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I know you, but I'm not going to allude to the things I know. So we'll act like this is two strangers interacting, right?
Which is very weird because we're not. I literally slept in your home last night. But okay, sure, let's do this.
Okay, fine. The next question: 2 truths and a lie. And I'm not going to tell what the lie is. The audience must write it in the comment section what they think is the lie, and then I'll confirm it.
I like that better because I was going to say, you pretty much know everything about me, so you will know. Oh my God, okay, I love that twist. 2 truths and a lie. Okay, I ran the Comrades Marathon.
Come on, you can't be that obvious.
That is so rude. Your expression.
I'm
You gave me the, you could never.
Start again, please.
Okay, I'll try again. Okay, I have a heart-shaped birthmark.
Okay.
I met President Barack Obama, and I worked on a case with on a legal team with a very famous person I can't mention, but well-known, high-profile case.
Okay.
I don't know if that's fair though, if I can't be specific about the names, but yeah.
Okay.
Does that help?
That's fine.
Is that a good?
You guys guess which one is a lie. I think it's sort of kind of easy. I think it is. There's let me keep quiet. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So this is a legal channel.
Right.
So we're diving straight into your legal journey. Mm-hmm. Tell us about it. Where did it all begin? Where did you study?
Right.
What were some of the challenges? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, firstly, congrats on this beautiful platform. You're really amazing.
Thanks,
I think you're doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really proud of you for doing this. I'm really proud of you. And you do it at such heart and with no financial incentive and benefit. So I'm really proud of you. It's just important that I mention that. Well, I think I have a very unconventional path to like my career. I think very untraditional. I did not graduate from high school and go straight into law school. As I alluded earlier, had some bit of like challenges. Was a good student, but I remember I got into Wits and I was ready to go, and I think I needed like 7,000 rands for registration, and my family, we couldn't get it together, and I had to spend a year working instead.
Yeah.
So what I did is I couldn't go to Wits, I couldn't go to school immediately. So what I did is I applied to a law firm. I spoke to a law firm partner. Like I was working at a bakery actually, and then I spoke to this partner at a law firm who used to come there. And then I was like, hey, I got into Wits. Can you give me 7,000? And then I'll come and work during, like, I'll work it off to pay my registration. And he was like, no, but I'll give you a job. And then when I couldn't go to school, I did that. So I was a law clerk, client liaison officer for about a year before going to law school at a law firm, which was great because it gave me like a very, I think, interesting and sort of like a very like introduction to the practice of law. So I got a very unique perspective.
Start.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, and I was obviously focused because I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. I've always known I wanted to be a lawyer. So I applied to UCT, which was like obviously like my top school. No shade to other schools. I'm a UCT.
We're not having this conversation.
Okay, we're not doing it. Okay. Got into UCT. That was great. It was also like quite a challenge. I think assimilating, and I think being a first generation student was a very, at UCT, when your classmate drives a Porsche and you are working 3 jobs to try and help your family out. It's a very, very like you feel like an imposter, and because it was a very interesting challenge, but also like eye-opening. I absolutely loved my UCT experience, and I graduated from UCT. And after graduating, I went to Cornell. I did a visitors program studying international law and foreign direct investment.
Cornell is based in?
Cornell is based in the United States.
Okay. And
So
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question, but let me let you finish.
Okay. Yeah, I did that. And then when I was there, I decided so my husband is American, and that's how I should probably give that context.
Yeah.
Well, there's other context as to why the US, I should probably mention it. Let me wrap this up and then I'll get to why the US. But moved to the US, went to Cornell, and when I was there, I decided actually I want to practice law in South Africa first. And so I came back, did my articles, and then the rest is history. And then 2020 came around, and then we decided with COVID, we decided to make the move back to the US. And then I worked in the US.
We're getting there. Yo,
okay, sorry. I'll calm down.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm just backtracking a little bit.
Cool.
Were there any challenges that, besides the imposter syndrome, were there any other challenges that you experienced at UCT?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even though I had a head start and I had worked at a law firm before, I think just studying law, it was just, this sounds weird, I'm going to say this, it sounds strange, but like you think you know English, right? Like, I speak like 8 languages, blah, 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 but you think you know English, you're comfortable, you're fluent. And then you realize that maybe not so.
Maybe it's cool.
Maybe like you read these texts and you're like, why am I having to read this 70 times? You know what I mean? So I found that I had to, go over things like several times. Other people like probably got it like the second time, of like, okay, maybe the third time for me. So sort of like that, like getting, I guess, adjusted to the study of law, which was, again, with the head start, that was great, but it was very different. It was a very different experience. So I guess that, and balancing school with like, jobs, like I said, I had to like try and help out at home. So that was a challenge. But other than that, no, other than like, no, I don't think so.
So you were working and you were studying full time?
Yeah. But I was working like at the university. So I was working at
so
the
you changed the bakery job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I live. Oh, my gosh. I should have said. That was in my hometown in Carletonville in Johannesburg.
Okay.
And then I moved to Cape Town. And when I was working it was like student jobs. So it wasn't like, when you get library or this and that.
And you got like some money.
Yeah, because that's the only way I could.
And then how did you fund your LLB at UCT?
How did I fund it?
Yeah.
I was a fortunate recipient of Dell scholarship, Michael Susan Dell, the first cohort actually, and I was a Dell Young Leader, so that helped.
Amazing.
And whatever Dell didn't cover, NAFSA's covered.
Okay.
But it was a very comprehensive scholarship.
Amazing.
I was very fortunate because I
Yeah.
remember I started at UCT and I did not have a computer. Like I would have to
Yeah.
go to the labs, and when the labs closed, like
Yeah.
you know, if you're not done with your work, if you're not done with your assignment, then that's sorry.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first got my computer, I was the first computer I ever owned. I was like, oh my god, that was down. But yeah, so that's how I funded.
Amazing.
I funded
Amazing.
my
I
law
just
studies.
wanted that highlight.
Yes.
A lot of people ask about which scholarships
Right.
or bursaries should
Right.
we pursue if we also want our fees to be covered.
All of them.
Right.
All
of them.
Like, don't be afraid. Like all of them. Give it a shot. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You know?
Yeah, 100%. Then you said after UCT you went to Cornell, right?
I was at Cornell.
How did that opportunity come about, or how did you learn of that opportunity, or what told you, let me apply at Cornell University?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I should probably backtrack a bit. But the first time I went to the States was because, and I don't enjoy talking about this because it feels like a little pompous, but whatever. But I had received this award. It's the International Academy of Family Lawyers Award, travel studentship is what they called it.
Okay.
And I had written this research paper about domestic partnerships in South Africa, how they regulated and how maybe we should change them because of how unfair they were towards a very particular group.
Yeah.
And so that earned me this award, first ever award, and then from the International Academy of Family Lawyers, and I could choose wherever in the world I wanted to go and intern, and that just exposure to family law, because I think back then I was like, I want to be a family lawyer.
Yeah.
Quickly changed when I did my articles, but we'll get there. But so I got to go to the US, obviously, and when I was there, I remember I was like, I want to come here, I want to work here, you know, because I mean, again, I worked with like very prominent lawyers, very like high profile people. And so, but even just, it was just like such a different exposure, such a different environment, very eye-opening. And it was my first time outside the country.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to come here one day and I'm going to make it. Yeah. So I think that's sort of where it's so I had that sort of exposure, and I started learning very early on about programs, studying abroad. And I was specifically interested in studying the US. Like I knew I had a plan. I was like, I'm going to study in the US. And, that's what I did, and that's how I knew about Cornell. Again, like my husband was also a student at Cornell, so that helped.
Oh,
but
nice.
I just
knew.
I knew my research. I very much had a plan. I very
research.
much had a plan very early on, and I just followed through on that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Right. I'm now getting a mind block.
yeah. Sorry, I'm like, kind of, what was the question? Because I was just rambling. But
Okay, let's get back.
Okay.
Because I know you didn't finish at Cornell.
No. It was a semester-long program. It wasn't
A full
a master's or anything like that. No, it was a special program that was designed for not for special students, but for like international students.
Okay,
or like
got
they call it versus program.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
application
And
process
then you
is
came
different.
back?
And then I came back because I was like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to practice. Yeah.
So when
in
you
my
came
home country.
back, had you already secured articles?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I had applied and I was going to be interviewing, but they wanted me to be in person when I interviewed.
Okay, sure.
So, but I had a couple of interviews like lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got your articles.
And then I got my
So
articles.
which
It was pretty-
answers my other question.
Right.
Which is you probably didn't start looking for articles during your LLB studies. It was probably towards the end. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Towards your end of the LLB, going to Cornell.
Yes. Because
Okay.
I sort of knew that I was probably not going to be in South Africa after graduating. So I did not, but yes and no. I did apply to articles, but not really.
Okay.
I did, and I did, but I knew that because I had to have a backup plan. But
Yeah.
I knew that the plan was to study.
abroad.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. How were articles?
How were my articles?
Yes. How were your articles?
Am I allowed to say specific law firms or no?
If you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you want.
We'll see how it goes. Articles were great. I had a really positive experience. I was fortunate to have worked with really amazing individuals, and like my director was just phenomenal. I had two directors. I rotated, and they were both great. My second director in particular stands out. Sorry, John, but Nick was the best. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was also very interesting. So I started articles, and I think it was, I mean, I hate to make things about
Yeah.
race again.
Yeah.
But there were very few of us that were not
Yeah.
white. And I got the distinct feeling that how I performed as a Canada attorney, how I did my work, whether I was diligent or not, would have a bearing on whether the next Linda who wants to apply for articles at this particular firm would or not.
Yeah.
And so I made it my personal mission to be exceptional.
Yeah.
I made a personal mission to work exceptionally hard and just stand out, both for myself and, again, for the next Linda, and I guess for the firm benefited, so it's good.
Yeah.
But so it was a great learning experience. I mean, I did, at like the first few months, have a senior associate who was very difficult, maybe would be an appropriate adjective to use. I think she made life a little difficult.
Yeah.
But I think I just hunkered down. I did my work, and I think that sort of insulated me from a lot of things that happened to other Canada trainees, because I know Canada trainee who started with me had a completely different experience. She does not practice law today because of
what happened
to her experience.
Yeah.
And I think, deciding very early on that
this is what I want to do.
Yeah,
this is what I'm going to focus on.
This is what I'm going to, help
block the
insulate me.
noise.
Exactly. And it helped that I had like amazing colleagues as well. Like, can I mention names?
Shout out.
Yes. I mean, Nompi inspired me. Nompumelelo Mdleje like inspired me. I remember that girl worked. Till today, I'm just like, she's phenomenal. She's moved to London now, and she's like a big deal at a very big international firm.
Jeez.
But she inspired me. I mean, her work ethic, and I think it was having her and seeing that example was really, really like amazing, because we weren't in a big firm. It's a mid-sized law firm that we served my articles at.
Yeah.
And I guess people can see on my LinkedIn where it was. So that was a really, so it helped that I had her and I had other colleagues, and so articles were interesting. Learned a lot. Again, let me just in terms of substance, really learned a lot. Rotated, started in the general litigation department and did a bit of family law, because that's when I thought I wanted to be a family lawyer. Quickly learned that that's not my path. I very much could not separate personal from professional. I just learned that if I wanted to stay the course, I would have to. Family law was probably not it for me.
Something else. Yeah.
And then I moved to the banking litigation department with an exceptional boss. Was like really, I think, a leading voice when it comes to like business rescue practice. Nico Klassen, like amazing, phenomenal mentor.
Another shout out.
Yes. So that was great. I was really grateful that I could learn. So like great learning experience again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I got to quickly like grow in the firm, like responsibilities.
So family law and banking and finance.
I did family law. I mean, maybe first year. Banking and finance and banking litigation specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then I know you moved to like a smaller firm.
And then I moved to a smaller firm. Yeah.
Yes. So then my next question.
They poached me.
Oh, they poached you.
Yeah, they were like, they met me at a conference, at a client's conference. And then I guess they had heard about me from the client that you should probably poach her. And we just had a conversation. And I was poachable. And then I got poached.
I win.
No, I'm kidding. No, I think it was time for the next step. I had certain articles I'd done. I'd worked a bit. It was, I think, a big opportunity, an opportunity to do like different work, similar work, but like different big responsibility. I was going to head up a department.
Yeah.
It was just like big responsibility, and I was really excited about the opportunity, and I really felt like it was time.
Yeah. Which highlights the importance of networking, because that's actually how you got
you're right.
that opportunity.
Absolutely. And networking is everything. I think living in DC, like in the States, like networking is
important.
Everything. It is everything. I mean, and I struggled with it because I felt like it was so transactional, so inauthentic. Like, I'm talking to you because I want something from you.
Yeah.
And then I learned that, no, I can actually be genuinely interested in somebody, like be inspired by their journey, or just want to learn more about them.
Yeah.
And that builds relationship, and then it leads to other, opportunities. So,
100%.
I agree. Networking is everything.
So then the question I have, because it comes up often, is what is the biggest difference between, let's say, medium or big size firms and small law firms? Like, what do you find to be sort of the challenges or the positives actually in working in sort of those environments, since you've got an experience in both?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I found that like the more medium, like larger firms is like just more structured, more, I mean, just more structure and more resources.
Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
really like
No,
helpful
100%.
because the transition to a small firm was challenging.
Yeah.
And there were processes that you're used to, systems that you're used to, things that you're used to that did not exist that I had to build from the ground up.
Yes.
So that was interesting. But also just like the exposure, right? Like in the medium-sized law firm, you still get exposure that you might not at a big law. I mean, I only did VAC work at a big law firm, so I can't really speak to like doing articles at a big law firm. But I would imagine, and from what I know, from what people have told me, exposure is a little different. So what I got at a medium-sized law firm, like working on like matters that you probably would have to be a senior associate at a big law firm to work on very early on, so that interacting with like clients, like the responsibility really like very you get to really get into the mix of things pretty early on and get you, and that medium, and I think it exists both in like medium firms and small law firms, but I think in small law firms and smaller firms it's more pronounced. Like things that you would have maybe a paralegal do or a legal secretary might fall on you because you don't have as many like a staff, and that was the case in a smaller law firm. But I think the biggest challenge that I found was just like some of the systems and tools and certain infrastructural things. And I think sometimes the culture is different also. Because I moved from, the culture was very different without getting into the specifics. I think I had to navigate a lot more and just adjust myself to working in a smaller law firm. But I think, let me think, I need to think a bit some more. I need to reflect more on that question and think about it. And if I come up with something more clever, I'll come back to it. But I think
that's fine.
but I think it's just like you really get into the weeds of things in a smaller law firm, much more than you would in a medium law firm. And you also do things that you might not necessarily do. For instance, like I don't know, you did your articles at Adams. Did you have to go and serve a lot, or did you move?
Yeah, we did.
But was it like
time.
often? Was it like a very like?
If you were working on the specific matter, I think the principal preferred that you just deal with it rather than go take it to the mail room and then wait for confirmation that it went. And, it was just like more, for them, I think it was more of a, you can do it, right? Just go quickly and claim your petrol. So, we did a lot of serving. And we also had high court duty. So we were forced, I don't want to say forced, it's part of training.
Part of training. Kind of get paid to do it.
We had to go once a week to the High Court to do like the firm's issuance of summons or maybe collecting a date for a particular day. Yeah, exactly. So that kind of, you learned from that process, even though it was very like administrative. But I think from my perspective, it was helpful, especially for like writing courts.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think the difference with like a medium-sized law firm is that it was not a once a week thing. It was like almost daily. Like they'd be serving, they'd be like going to court almost daily. And at a small firm as well, I remember with my Canada attorneys, I was like, again, you learn a lot from that. Preparing with boards. It's very much like go and serve, learn how to serve, and then go to court every day, like go to the filing room, get a date and all of that. Build relationships with the registrars, because Lord knows it goes a long way.
Exactly.
So I think that's more of an everyday expectations in smaller law firms than it would be like in bigger law firms.
No,
and
which
I think
is
that's
good.
It.
I think you just get the hang of how a law firm runs.
Absolutely,
from a small law firm, because you're, like you said,
oh my God, you're right.
You're involved in so many other aspects that are not just, I'm a legal professional.
You're absolutely correct. That's a beautiful
But some people will just be like, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
In small law firm problems.
I mean, and they have their own problems, I'll tell you that.
They have their own problems.
But I mean, it was a great learning experience as well. I'm forever grateful for it. I mean, and also I went there as head of department, so I think I had
a fairly bit a good experience.
It was I think I had a unique sort of experience.
So then you mentioned around COVID, you guys decided, you and your husband, who I know so well. Hello.
Hi, Nick. Said I wasn't going to shout you out.
Oh wait, sorry. Can I like just divert a little bit? I know Linda through my husband. That's how I met you.
Yeah. Adarang's husband is actually like my brother. So you're technically my sister-in-law. Like, you actually, we're not friends. She's technically my sister-in-law. So yeah, that's like.
I think a lot of people would be like, how do they know each
Oh
other?
yeah. No, Api and I went to UCT together, and day one we met. Like, I mean, it's been like what? Over, I don't know how many. 15 over 15 years. I don't know how many years it's been. Now.
Yeah.
It's been over 15 years. It's been
a
over
long
like
time.
it's been a very long time. And very early on, we were family. We're like, oh, you're my long lost brother. Oh, my long lost sister. And we literally have been inseparable since. Like, he's my brother.
He is
yeah,
your brother.
Yeah. I mean, my mom even is like, oh, my son. So it's, yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I go back.
Yeah.
I go back. So you and Nick decided that you were going to go back to the States
because-
during COVID time.
Yes.
And then at which point did you then decide, actually, now I'm going to pursue an LLM and in the States? And also, did you go through like some sort of thought process where you're like, actually, I should do my LLM in South Africa or maybe in Europe? Like, how did you land? I mean, yeah, I feel like it's obvious, but how did you land with an LLM in the States?
Right. I think I mentioned that because of like the internship scholarship that I received to go to the US, I think I was really enamored by it. Enamored, is that the word? That's the word. Like, I was really infatuated. I was like, I got dazzled by the New York lights, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And so I think, again, like very I had planned. I knew like this is I had my universities listed, like where I'd apply to. So I really, like, I knew going into it that there was a plan. I did, because for some time we were living in South Africa, and I was practicing in South Africa. For some, I considered doing my master's in South Africa. But I also knew that would be my first master's. I'd either do my first master's here or do my PhD there. Yeah, in the US. Or just like I just wanted an international space. I knew that I wanted international like experience beyond studying in South Africa, and I guess studying at Cornell as well. Like just very similar, shockingly, to like classes at UCT. Like it really felt like I was at UCT. Like in South, it really felt that way. But I knew that from that experience, I knew that I wanted an international sort of like qualification beyond South Africa. And so, wait, I forgot the question.
No, it's fine, because I'm going to break it down now, right? Because that's the whole point of this video.
Okay.
If I am a person in South Africa, I hold an LLB degree, and I want to follow the same path as you, what do I do? Like, where do I start? I want to study in America, but I don't know where to start. Yes, I can go on a website of a university, but like, what do I do?
First, also, I don't know if like you want to study in America right now. would be my no. For practical reasons, actually, I just need to address this real quick because I've had these like questions come up, and I ordinarily would be like, honestly, like one of the best educational systems. Like we all know this, right?
Yes.
Like, I mean, of course, Oxford. I'm not comparing anything like that, but I'm just saying that it's your Harvards, your Yales, right? Your Stanfords, right? I mean, I'd say more, but. Right now, I don't know, and this is very specific to this moment.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would necessarily encourage people to pursue the LLMs in the US right now, only because I think we all are very much informed about what's happening in the world right now, without getting into too much detail. But secondly, it's becoming increasingly difficult for graduate students to find employment because you need to get a work visa, which is incredibly hard. Like a law firm, because you're competing with students, with JD students, like American students that don't need a visa.
Yeah.
You're competing with those for jobs after you graduate. And you did not get your because in the US, undergrad. In the US, it's a JD, the LLB is called a JD. You don't have a JD, and they prefer a JD, right? And so there's that. So in this particular moment in history, I don't know if it's something that I would encourage. Truthfully speaking, I would encourage people to like Europe, maybe other continents. Even like, I mean, South Africa, I mean, so just to address that part, just like in this unique moment in history, I would say if you can delay, do that.
Okay.
Yeah. For just to highlight the reasons, visa issues, like it's incredibly challenging to get a job afterwards. It really, really is. And the political environment, I don't know if maybe that's what you're going to do. Also, it is incredibly, incredibly expensive.
100%.
And unless if you have a full ride, like it is incredibly pricey, and I don't know if right now it's worth the investment.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to say that. I think I have a responsibility to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're back to the question.
Okay. Yeah. So in normal times, if things are different, my path is so unique that I mean. Get your LLB, get good grades, because also what you want to do is get into a good school, what
Okay.
you want, because again, you're competing with students from the US who did their JDs in there, who do not require a visa. So you want to get into a good school. I always say that get into what they call a top 14 law school if you can, if
Okay.
you want to study in the US. So do your applications, follow. I mean, I'm happy to talk to people about the whole application process. LSEC, submit your documents. And then I would also advise people to probably do their LLMs after they've served the articles and after they're admitted as
Okay.
attorneys. Because for reasons that maybe if we have time, we'll get into,
Yeah.
that makes sense later. Just administratively, much better, makes your life much easier.
Okay.
So you do that, apply to schools, pick your schools, importantly, know what you want to specialize in, because very different schools have different specializations.
Okay.
So for instance, if you want to be like a tax LLM, if you want a tax LLM, Georgetown and the University of New York, top law schools for that. If you graduate with an LLM from one of those schools, you're guaranteed a job,
Okay.
literally. Or if you want to maybe do, I don't know what other schools do. Oh, if you want to focus on like technology, for instance, like maybe Stanford might be the best place to go
Okay.
because it's in Silicon Valley. So knowing what you want to focus in or practice in would be probably important, like I'd say, and then make your school choices based on that.
Okay.
And apply to your schools, apply well in advance, write a compelling personal statement, because that's what you do, like explaining why.
Yeah.
And, there are resources these days that can help you write compelling personal
I
statements.
hope you're not talking about Chat GPT.
I'm a legal technology lawyer.
No, guys.
Well, ChatGPT should not write your personal statement, of course not. But I'm saying, like, if you needed ideas around, hey, how
Okay.
if I wanted to,
Okay.
how should I phrase this, or how can I
Yeah.
present my story in this light?
Okay.
I think it gives you great ideas, a great starter,
Yeah.
as to how you can like frame things and think about things more creatively.
Yeah.
I think it's a great resource. I personally, honestly, I think it gets a bad rep, and it should not.
It shouldn't.
Again,
I've got so much to say.
I know. But I honestly think that it is a great equalizer. What is the word? Democratizes
Me
like
in English.
education and accessibility and things like that. And I think it's a great resource. I think people that previously would not have had access to similar opportunities, I think it levels the playing
Okay.
field almost.
Okay.
And I genuinely believe in it. Of course, you still, like, critical judgment skills, very important.
Yeah.
You cannot, it can't do everything for you, but I think it's a great way to start, and a great way to, like, you have your own, even if like you have your entire, and different way of going about it, you have your entire personal statement set up, and you're like, what do you think I should tweak? What do you think I should make better? Things like
Okay.
that. We should make use of those resources. They exist because kids, again, maybe this is me, the trauma of being a first generation student. I'm just like, kids that have access to resources and parents that can afford these
Yeah.
things,
I get
they
you.
use those, right?
Yes,
As should
100%.
students that don't.
Okay.
And I'm about it. Not just that, but others as well. I'm about it. But again,
I think
I'm going on tangents here. I apologize. Yeah.
my sensitivity with it is that, like, nowadays kids are using it to, like, write tests or assignments, and that's why now are you saying, well,
Don't do that.
yeah, that's my issue.
That's ill-advised.
No, yes, that's
Like-
my issue. So they're becoming lazy thinkers. They're not applying themselves because ChatGPT is basically coming up with all the
No,
answers.
I mean, that's
that
obviously
makes you a
ill-advised.
terrible lawyer.
That makes, yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't do that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you hear about stories about how lawyers are getting sanctioned.
Yeah.
For, like, absolutely don't. You still want to have your critical skills. But then again, I do legal technology now, and I think, and I hear that, and I agree with you completely. But I think the way that we practice law and the way that we go about things, not just practicing law, but like the world in general, is going to change. It has to change because
It's
people are
probably
going to
going to
rely
change,
on
yeah.
that. Like, it's this,
Yeah.
it's a conversation that, I mean, we could talk for days about this
About it,
topic,
yeah,
and I,
yeah.
I'm in two minds about it. But I agree, like, you still need to be a critical thinker. You still need to apply your mind.
Yeah.
Like, that goes, I think we should not even be discussing that. It's not even a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
come
of
on.
course. This
Yeah.
is such a,
Yeah.
for me, I'm so happy that you highlighted
Yeah.
this. We've got an event coming up on June 16
Okay.
under the NPC, Youth
Okay.
Genomics.
Okay.
And I forcefully forced Appy
Mm-hmm.
to come and talk about
I know how that went. I can imagine.
to talk about AI and
Okay.
like the future of jobs, because I think it's important for, like, high school learners now who are sort of choosing career paths to sort of foresee, like, what the future looks like. And you just mentioned it now, like, in the future, this is going to be a huge tool that people use in getting things done, which means that natural resources are going to go, human resources are going to be less and less of a requirement,
Yeah.
which is sad. But this is why we need this information.
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot of jobs are already
On the
being
line.
lost. And
Yeah.
I mean, you need to future-proof yourself. You need to be like, yeah, agreed. I
Yeah.
mean, again, we can talk about it for days, but
Yeah.
it's really going to change. the
Okay,
face
we've
of
got
it.
about 10 minutes left.
Oh my
right?
goodness, no.
I know. Time.
Oh, so much to say. And I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want to do this. Now I'm like, oh my God, let's not stop. Let's talk.
What did I want to say? Oh, marks. Are marks important in getting into an LLM program anyway? Like, is there like a minimum? Or is it like
Marks
sort of
are
like...
important. Marks are important. But I think with LLMs, at least in my experience in the US, the focus is also on like your experience, what you bring. And that's again a point where I was like, do your articles, get admitted. But marks will determine what type of law school you get into,
Okay.
like which law school you get into.
Okay.
And from personal experience, I would have we all have choices, like we rank, and a certain school in California that I may or may not have mentioned earlier was my ideal school.
Yeah.
It starts with S.
Okay.
And ends with Ford. And I applied there and they were like, no, thanks, girl. They looked at Max and were like, no, we're cool. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So no, definitely like, I mean, Max, unfortunately, like, yeah.
You have to do well.
Just work hard. But also don't let the fact that you don't have stellar grades deter you from applying. Because I did not always have stellar grades. I struggled. I mean, working through something law school, it's a lot. So I didn't always have like glowing grades, but I'm here. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you made it into top 14.
Yeah.
Which is ranked what in the world?
Like high. Yeah, it's like, I mean, you can Google it. But yeah, Georgetown is a very good school. It's a very good school. I mean, I think former presidents went there. Like, it's a good school. Georgetown's a good school.
Is it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that the guest who was supposed to join us also went to Georgetown. Guys, you were like twins for me. I'm like, this is going to be such a fun conversation.
We need to have a part 2.
I'm going to come to America.
I think I was going to say.
Yeah, because she stays in D.C.
Wait, what? She lives in D.C.?
Yes. I'm literally...
She's probably my neighbor. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm being serious. I'm definitely coming for this.
Come and let's have a part 2. I think it'd be interesting to sort of like get her perspective, how experiences. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, a part 2. Please promise your guests, your subscribers, and everyone in the world that you're going to come. And
I'm coming.
I really do think so.
It's going to be excellent.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, let's go back. We're almost done, Linda. We're almost done. Okay. How was it studying in America? Like an LLM? And what do you think maybe are the distinct... I know you haven't done an LLM in South Africa, but like sort of what are the differences between the different law schools? And... obviously, I'm guessing that was tougher than what you've done here in South Africa. I might be wrong. So let's hear your side.
What was it like? I think not just America specifically, I think international study, like going abroad, and I think that's why we all love to travel, it just opens a completely different worldview and like just different perspectives. I think it just opens you up to a different world and different ways of doing things. And I think the best part for me was obviously like before the studies, I think I was in a school with like people, our program was like very large, like 500 people. And I mean, being in a classroom with like somebody from like Italy, China, Peru, Colombia, and, you know, like Ghana. And it's just, I have friends literally from all over the world. There's no country that I could go to and not have a friend. And I think that was probably... I think I would say that was a highlight of my experience there. I think just like the global like community and friends that you form from that experience was just like on its own like a lesson, just such a huge part of the program, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, I learned Spanish because like now I have Spanish-speaking friends.
Were you speaking Spanish to Nick?
Yeah. I mean,
oh my God,
I'm not that good. I know like the basics, but I mean, I learned for like 2 years because I was inspired from my friends. And so, I mean, that experience, number one, I just have to say that honestly was the highlight. And it was good because I think at Georgetown, because it's in Washington DC, I had professors that were like the head of the IMF, like the general counsel of the IMF was like my professor and my mentor, and people that worked in like Congress, people that like really influential figures, really influential figures that were like your teachers, like were literally sitting in the hospital. So that was a very unique experience, like very interesting experience. That was really. Also, like, I mean, you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God, you start striking, like, oh my God, this person is my professor, like former judges, like it was just a really great experience. But learning just a different system also was also...
Because it's very different from what we do here.
Very, very, very different. I
Yeah.
think would have had a better time assimilating in the UK than
Yes,
the US, because
definitely,
like
yeah.
the federal system and this and that, very, very different. But lovely, great learning experience. How does it differ from South Africa? Like I said, when I was at Cornell, honestly, and even at Georgetown, I did not see a whole lot of difference. Very huge similarities. The only thing I would say is that in the US, of course, it's like Socratic method. They really, and which at UCT was the case as well.
Okay.
They really have a huge focus on that. Like in law schools, like cold calling you. Atahang, so this judge says this in line, whatever. What are your thoughts on that? Why is that wrong? So there are a lot of that. So you had to be
Always
prepared.
in-
And that can
yeah.
be really
And
nerve-wracking.
engaged, yeah.
And engaged.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I think that was, I think, the big things, like that is like pretty much standard there. That is the expectation, right?
100%.
And I think there's more focus on, and I think South Africa, there's like more of a doctrinal sort of like focus, like the study of law, and I think it's a little different that side. And I think also like your relationship with your professors. Like I think in South Africa, in my experience, it was very much like there's this like reference, like this, professor hierarchical, but very like And that side, it's like you and your classmates go to dinner with the professor. The professor hosts a dinner at his house, and you meet his wife. So that was like weird. There was like a little like, okay, that's different. So it's more of a So that was very like a different.
Sounds social.
Right. Yeah. So that was also like a very interesting experience and different. But studying how classes are taught, the study, I personally did not, and I did not see much of a huge difference. Yeah.
Okay, then you passed. Then you wrote your New York bar exams.
Yeah, I did.
And first question is the only requirement to write the New York bar exams an LLM from the States?
No.
Okay.
No. You technically, South Africans, because we, common law system, do not need an LLM to sit for the New York bar exam.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Technically, but there's certain requirements. So you have to be from certain universities. For instance, I know students who graduated from UNISA cannot sit for the New York bar without an LLM.
Okay.
Yeah. But for people that went to everyday school, not everyday school, but like, you like the UVids, UP, like full-time studies, what I want to say.
You could.
Full-time study,
Okay.
you could. You technically do not need a master's to do that. But it depends. If you're trying to live in the US and work in the US, a master's is going to go a long way, because very few employers are going to even look at your resume if you just have like South Africa, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah.
And that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But they're not going to look at you. But if you have an LLM from whatever school, again, T14 preferably, then you have a fighting chance.
Okay.
But the long and short is like, no. But the rules are also like very specific about who can and who can't.
Differences between New York bar and board exams?
Okay. I am a notary as well. I took the notary exam, and I would describe very different. And not to minimize the board exams in South Africa. Board exams in South Africa are really hard, like they're challenging. But I took the notary exam, and for me the notary exam was like 10 times harder. Like
Than board exams?
No, for sure. I personally like really found the notary exam like really, really hard.
Okay.
Like all these like archaic terms, and it was just a lot. But I did it because somebody when I was serving articles was like, you can't do that. And I was like, watch me. but maybe, probably that should have been the reason why I did it. But I characterized the New York bar exam as like the notary exam, but like 12. It's a very challenging exam. The fail rate for international students is incredibly high.
Yeah.
It is hard to pass. It is a grueling experience. It is 3 months of like non-stop studying, minimum of like 10 hours a day.
You were just like, no, I got to study.
That's literally, I came to South Africa and I would sit in the office. I remember at Abby's office until like midnight studying. It was like 3 months of intense grueling, 10 hours of studying a minimum for 3 months. Every single day. It was intense. But also it's a new system. It's a completely different system. You're learning laws that there's some similarity for sure, because we're all common law system, but it's still like very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
tough.
It's no shame. It really is. Like, very few people pass on the first try.
Kudos to
also.
you for being a dual
I
qualified
know, thank God.
lawyer
Praise be.
from Carltonville in South Africa.
I have a friend who's like Carltonville. But it's, I know. I mean, it's my community. It's everyone.
Massive congratulations.
No, it's a
and
collective
achievement.
thing.
I mean, honestly, Linda.
I mean, it's a I could have never done it alone, bruh. Without my community, without everyone. I mean, it's. I thank you. I appreciate it and I take it, but it's also just like. It's a collective thing, right? Like, it won't do. Like, I really believe in that. Like, there's no way that I could have been sitting here today with whatever qualifications I have
without
if it weren't like
for the community,
my people, parents, friends, everyone who poured into me, mentors, all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't have time, so it's fine. It's okay. We're doing a part 2.
Yeah.
You work in the States now. You work in Washington at Bloomberg Law. Shout out.
Yeah.
But we can't get into that experience for now.
No, I cannot.
So I'm just going to end this section by asking you to just give advice to students who want to follow a similar path.
I mean,
not even students,
just like
professionals, anyone.
Honestly,
I
think for a similar path, I don't know, but like just in general, just be brave. Like, do it. Don't wait for things to be perfect. Do it scared. Do it afraid. That's like my new line. Just go for it. Try. Like, just try.
Yeah.
And work hard, obviously. Like, do your research. Know what you just know what resources are available to you, who you can reach out to, and just go for it. Just go for it.
Go for it
and be brave.
Just
be brave.
do it.
Be curious. Stay curious. Stay curious and just go for it. I had no business getting into the schools that I got to and the scholarship that I got from Georgetown, but I tried and I got it.
And you got
and
it.
If I hadn't tried, I would not have.
Yeah.
Just
and you've got nothing to lose, right?
You got absolutely nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And if you even don't get into, it's a great learning experience, right? So go for it. Be brave. That's my thing. And surprise yourself. Just surprise yourself and just do it. Yeah.
Thank you. That's lovely.
Yeah. Thank you for this.
Very wholesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I rambled. I mean, This is long overdue.
It is. I've been asking you to do this before you even went to America, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's fine. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that was wholesome. That was so wholesome for me.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm talking to someone that I'm very
I know. Your sister-in-law. He said, I hate it. Like, say that.
Yes.
Yeah, say that.
I was talking to my sister.
So
that was very wholesome. I'm going to do a part 2, I promise. I'm going to keep this promise.
You have to.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope that was helpful. If you got any questions, like Linda said, you can reach out to her and ask her. And I mean, this is a community. We're here to help.
Absolutely.
So please don't forget to answer the two truths and a lie. Please. She has actually already -1 in this conversation.
I did. I realized that. I was like, I'm giving it away.
It's all right. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.